Again, welcome to everyone for tuning in to today's info session. We are officially at the halfway mark of our summer info session series. Just a quick reminder, like always, all of the info sessions are recorded and we will put the link to view the recordings in the chat. Today, we're joined by my colleagues in the housing office and our residential experience team. We also have a student leader who is our IHC chair, and together they will be sharing information about rotation, which I'm sure you're all very excited to participate in. So with that, I'll turn it over to Vanessa, Joe, and Elisa, and then I'll pop back in at the end to share some upcoming reminders.
Right. Thank you. Isabel, can you turn on the sharing?
Yes, give me 1 second. All right, perfect. You're good to go.
Beautiful. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're excited to have you here. As Isabel mentioned, we will be speaking about housing and rotation. We'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. Is it working? There we go. Isabel already introduced herself. And my name is Vanessa Tejada, and I'm the Director of Residential Experience. And that means I oversee all the residential and housing options that you will all hopefully live in.
All right, and my name is Joe Benetham. I'm the Associate Director of Housing for undergraduate housing and our summer conferences. So I manage all of the spaces that you'll be living in and make sure that you have a space on campus.
Hi, I'm Elisa Grillo. I'm the Interhouse Committee Chair or IHC Chair. And the IHC is like a subpart of student government that has to deals with anything with the 8 houses of Caltech. So, and one of the main things we do is play in rotation. So I give a kind of student insight on how everything goes.
A quick rundown on what to expect during this presentation. We'll be talking a brief overview of the summer programs and what that looks like, summer decisions, housing options as a new student and what choices you'll have once you arrive at Caltech. Elisa will talk about rotation and any plans that you have for moving in once you arrive. And then I will pass it on to Joe.
All right. So the majority of folks will move in September. However, there are a number of programs that happen or that start over the summer that may have you arrive to campus early. If you are part of one of these programs, you will receive specific instructions regarding your check-in from either us in the housing office or from your program coordinators prior to your arrival. You will not learn your specific assignment until you get here. So if you're participating in the First Year Success Research Institute, FSRI, if you're going to be a fall season athlete, if you're going to be participating in international student orientation, what's called I Begin at Caltech, or if you're going to be participating in the integrated core, you're going to receive specific instructions for you individually about what you need to do to arrive early. For some programs, you may need to fill out a form. For others, you may just receive information that this is your arrival date and this is where you need to go for your arrival. So keep an eye out for any of the information if you're a part of any of these 4 programs. You can go to the next one, Vanessa. So for you, when you get here in the fall, we base our fall housing assignments on the results of the survey that was completed in June. Everybody received a survey probably around mid-June, and it was due on the 28th. On that survey, students were able to indicate if they wanted to participate in a rotation and get a temporary assignment, or if they wanted to opt for a permanent assignment in Bechtel. As of right now, about 12% of the class chose the option to select a permanent assignment in Bechtel. We still encourage any of those folks to participate in rotation for an affiliation, but those people, again, as long as they're not part of one of those 4 early arriving programs, those folks will move directly into an assignment in Bechtel when they arrive. For the other 88%, the vast majority of folks in the incoming class, you'll move into a temporary assignment when you arrive on September 21st. Once again, you are encouraged to participate in rotation and get that experience. And then you will move at the end of the rotation period. We will send information on all housing assignments the week of September 15th. And that information will be specific to where you're arriving. So we can move on to the next one.
Yeah.
So sorry. First year students can live in any of the 8 houses or the Bechtel residence. So to talk to you about what the different buildings look like. Bechtel is all single rooms within suites. So you can expect to have a room to yourself, but expect to share a common area and restroom facilities with 3, 5, 7, or 11 more people. The suites are 4 persons, 6 persons, 8 persons, and 12 persons. Avery House is a mix of singles, doubles, and triples. However, all first year students will live in doubles. And then the North houses, Lloyd, Page, and Venerable, are all doubles. So everybody lives in a double. And they are lofted beds. So these beds are built into the walls. And so they are lofted. You have to climb up into those beds. And then the South houses, which is Blacker, Dabney, Fleming, and Ricketts. That's a mix of singles, doubles, and triples. And as an incoming student, you could end up in any style of those rooms. If you have any medical conditions that could impact your housing, we need you to reach out to CAS, which is our Caltech Accessibility Services for Students. And you need to reach out to them as soon as possible with your medical needs. This could be a medical need for a single room, whether it be a physical medical condition or a mental health condition. This could be around allergies if you need to have a room without carpet. It could deal with mobility issues if you have trouble with stairs, or if you might have a problem climbing up into a lofted bed. Any of these things that could impact your ability to live on campus, we want to make sure that we have those documented with CAS so that we are able to provide you with housing that will meet your needs. So please make sure that if you have any of those needs that you do your best to get that documented as soon as possible.
So when you arrive, as Joe mentioned, if you are not coming early, your regular check-in day for everyone else will be Sunday, September 21st. You will receive the housing information the week prior, but the day of, you will be, depending on what information you get the week prior, you'll go to 3 different check-in locations. We have one for Avery and Bechtel, one for the North houses, and one for the South houses. Once you arrive on campus, there'll be signs, there'll be people out and about in shirts. So please don't worry about getting lost or not knowing where to go. I think the important thing is that you get here and we could definitely help you get situated. We will have carts and student volunteers ready to help you move in. So if you are worried about moving your things around or whatnot, we do have systems in place to be ready to help you into your room. I know one of the main questions is sometimes like, should I bring everything? Especially if you're moving into a temporary room. We always encourage people to bring what they feel comfortable with, especially within the 2 weeks. And then there's going to be more help at the end of rotation for moving. So that's always been a big question. We will also have staff on campus to help manage any maintenance concerns. Of course, we try our best so that when you walk in, your room is ready and clean and ready for you to move in, but we're not perfect. So if there are any concerns that you do walk in and you do foresee, please let us know and we'll have staff around for that. We will be using guidebooks, so Isabel has been really good, hopefully during the summer, information to share that. And there would be guidebook with all the orientation information, all the scheduling of check-in times, when orientation starts, when you should be next. We'll have dinners, we'll have lunch available. So make sure to check out guidebooks. And we really look forward to having you on campus. Even if you move in early, we encourage you to come out on Sunday, September 21st to do the photo booth or just to say hello.
Okay, so to talk a little bit about rotation, it's the main process of where you get to know each of the 8 houses. It starts during the middle of orientation and kind of ends while classes are just starting. And there's lots of events, lots of dinners, desserts, lunches, and it's a really fun process. But it can be a lot overwhelming for a lot of students because it is a lot of events, but it's completely optional. You can go to none of the rotation events, or you could go to all of them, do a mix of them. But we do encourage to at least try it out because it ends up being the highlight for a lot of students during orientation. And it is the way most people identify like your preferences for housing and your preferences for house membership. So after rotation ends, you rank all of the houses and you get placed according to an algorithm, depending on your preferences and rankings of the house. So you can choose to either like live in a house and have a membership there, or you can live in Bechtel and have a membership of a house. We'll like go through all of the options of like the results of rotation. But the important thing is rotation is where you go to these fun events and learn about the houses. And yeah, you can go to the next slide. So just going through a couple of the dates after rotation, it ends on October 1st, as shown in the previous slide. And then we get a couple of days to like go through the algorithm. It takes a couple of days because there's a lot of things that go into it. It's kind of complicated because you have to deal with the rankings and then the CAS accommodations and then gender ratios. So it needs a couple of days to go through. And then after those days, you learn about your assignment, and there's a lot of fun welcome activities if you end up rotating to a house, and you get to choose your roommates. It's a lot of people also like doing that. It's fun. And then the day after, you move into your new assigned rooms with your new roommates. And so we kind of recommend kind of living off your suitcases during that time, so you don't unpack every single thing when you move into your initial rooming assignments. Kind of wait till you get your final room assignments, so because this is where you'll be living for the rest of the year. And the algorithm, it is an algorithm, so you're not necessarily guaranteed your first pick, but all the houses are great houses. We'll say that 5 million times during rotation. It'll be okay. A lot of people end up not getting their first choice, but they really end up enjoying the house they did rotate into. So we always encourage you to give the house you rotated into a chance. And the great thing is you can get multiple memberships and multiple affiliations with other houses, so your house doesn't like completely determine your social experience in Caltech at all. And then during rotation, you can also decide that if you don't want any house affiliation, you can just be assigned to Bechtel with no house affiliation at all.
So just a quick recap of the rotation options. As Elisa mentioned, rotation is a big full week full of activities. We do want to remind you that everything is optional, so make sure you take care of yourselves, especially because it is your first week of orientation, rotation starts, and then it's the first week of class. It's a lot happening all at once, and we want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, but you're also having fun and transitioning well. For the rotation options, again, you can choose to live in a house and be a member of that house. So that is one of the options. You can also live in Bechtel. You could decide, you know what, I want to live in Bechtel, but I also want to get a full membership of a house. That is also possible. So you could also choose to live in Bechtel and get full affiliation. And those are specifically for those that opt in into Bechtel early on. So if you want to participate, that's why we encourage you to participate in rotation, because you do still have that option, and you still have that option to become a full member of a house if that is something that you would like. As Elisa mentioned, you also can opt out to not be in a house and live in Bechtel. So it's whatever you really decide. Everything's optional, and we hope to tailor it to whatever you see fit. And then students can attend whatever parts of rotation work and still get housing and house membership. So rotation is divided into a few different parts. We have receptions and dinners, or reception and lunches. We also have desserts on some nights. And then each house kind of has like a house event that really showcase what they're about, and for you all to hang out and get to know the members of those house and the house itself. And that all happens within a week. So once you get the schedule, you'll see how busy that week really is. And you can attend everything, you can attend parts of it. It's really up to you. Just remember, rotation is really that first week of school. You can join multiple houses after rotation. You have 4 full years here at Caltech post-rotation. Elisa mentioned all the houses are amazing. Bechtel is an amazing option. So you really have a choice within your time here at Caltech. And we really want to make sure that people understand that. I think you'll hear it from the IHC, you'll hear it from student leaders. It is an algorithm, so please make sure you give all the houses a great opportunity, and you'll have a chance to continue to grow your network and your connections and your house affiliations if that's something that you choose within your years here at Caltech. A student can also be assigned to Bechtel during rotation, even if it's not your top option, and get one of their top house affiliations. So if you get placed into Bechtel, you're still able to get a house membership, a full house membership, as part of that Bechtel live-in situation. For residential support, this is what I oversee. We do want to make sure that you know that you're not alone in your housing. In addition to having your peers and students around, you also have a full-time residential staff members. They're called RLCs. And you will get to know them. You'll have meetings with them. They work with the RAs, they work with the student leaders. You'll see them at programs and events, on-call situations throughout the year. And they really help students when anything comes out. They will be your number one liaisons to know what is going on or where to go if you have any questions. All communities do have graduate RAs, and RAs are graduate students who do live in the houses with you. They are supervised by the RLCs, and they are trained to help you in anything that you might need, either as a mentor or for support or to help answer any questions. In addition, within the residential communities, we also have student leaders. So IHC, the presidents, is one of those examples, but we also have peer advocates, and they are more of the mental health support. We have HAs, which are health advocates, and they are trained in first aid and CPR, Title IX advocates, etc. A lot of advocates in your living situation. And they really help the students all year long, but especially during the new transition. You'll get a lot of outreach the first 2 or 3 weeks as you're getting transitioned into rotation, into your new house, when you're moving and whatnot. And just keep in mind, these are great leadership opportunities for you to maybe get involved within your second or third year or within your time here at Caltech. Another resource that we do have on campus, especially in residence, is for those who will be living or choose to live in Avery and Bechtel. We do have faculty in residence that provide programs, support, and mentoring. So that means we do have 2 full-time faculty members who live in the houses two in Avery and two in Bechtel with their families. And you're able to connect with them on a outside the classroom type of thing. So there you'll see them at dinners with you. They put on their own programs. They invite little groups over to apartment for lectures or talks or discussions. And it's a great opportunity to kind of meet and connect with faculty outside of the classroom and outside the academic realm. They do still keep it within, academics, but it's a great way to kind of just talk to them on a regular basis and get to know them. Of course, they are in Avery and Bechtel, but they are open to the whole community. So all the students will kind of get acquainted to who they are and what they do, and their programs are open to everyone. And then we'll jump into scenarios.
Alrighty. So our first scenario is a new student committed to Bechtel over the summer and wants to go through rotation to find a house, and they're confused about whether that is an option. So if you've committed over the summer, you absolutely can go through rotation. It is an option. Everyone can go through rotation and should. All Bechtel residents can be full members of houses. So that's our first scenario there.
Our second scenario, a new student has temporary assignment in one of the houses and wants to go through rotation, but can't attend all of it. Well, they still get a housing and can they become a full member of the house? I think we mentioned it multiple times, but yes, you do not need to attend everything. Everything is optional. That includes the dinners, the receptions, the house events, whatever it must be. The only thing you do have to do is at the end of rotation on that Wednesday or that Tuesday, that survey will come out. So you do have to do your rankings, and you will get emails reminding you to do that. You will get the students reminding you to do that. But everyone, all first years, whether you participate in rotation or not, needs to fill out the rankings form. So that's the only thing that is mandatory in rotation. Everything else in terms of attendance and participation, that is all optional.
Okay, and then the third scenario is a new student has a temporary assignment in one of the houses and they can't decide if they want to live in a house or in Bechtel, and like what the best way to figure that out is. And the answer is you just go through rotation and see everything. Rotation is just the best way to learn about each house and learn about like the living options. So you can ask upperclassmen a lot of great questions about what's the social life like, what is the time generally when people are up, and how loud is it at certain times, so you can make an educated choice about the pros and cons about each house and living in Bechtel. But regardless, you can't really go wrong with where you live. Everybody's Caltech housing journey is different. Like I've lived in the house in housing or like that venerable house for 2 years, and now I'm living in Bechtel for 2 years, and I enjoyed both of them equally for different reasons.
So that does come to the end of our presentation. So I do want to stop the share here. And I do want to ask and kind of open it up for people who have any questions. Feel free to turn on your video and ask away, or feel free to insert it in the chat. Any questions? Let's see, we got a question right now. I was wondering, after rotation, once we're placed in the house, how are roommates chosen? Is it chosen by housing, or do we get to choose who we live with? That's actually a really great question. Thank you for bringing that up. After rotation, so rotation ends on Wednesday, as Elisa mentioned, and then we go through the algorithm for Thursday and Friday. And on Saturday, you will find out Saturday at 5 p.m. a cannon goes off. We do welcome activities. That's when you'll find out what house you're in, or if you're in Bechtel. And the different areas will have different events to kind of welcome in their new members. At 10 p.m. that Saturday night, you will go to your new house. For example, if I was living temporarily in Fleming, but I got placed in Venerable, I will go to Venerable House at 10 p.m. Everyone who got chosen for Venerable will meet together, and you'll have a room pick process. So your ROC and your RAs or the student leaders will kind of go over how to choose rooms, but you'll be able to choose your roommate and be able to find. So we'll have roommate matching, kind of like each house is different, Bechtel's different. They all have either a fun game or speed friendly, whatever it might be. And you'll kind of get to know the people in your group and choose within the people there. So hopefully that answers the question. Oh, they're coming in. Okay.
I can answer the next question of
Okay.
Oh wait, though I was gonna answer the question about general examples of what rotation are. So each house has a different number of rotation events, and they can general examples of what they are can be found on the IHC website, and it's super easy to find. You just like look up IHC Caltech, and it should be one of the first things that pop up. It has what the schedule looked like last year and what all the rotation events are, but a couple examples I can give is Venerable does this indoor golfing event where they decorate the whole Venerable house so you can look through the whole house while also doing mini golf. Oh, someone sent the IC website. That's great. And then Lloyd does Capture the Flag, where the entire campus is a Capture the Flag game, and you can have milkshakes there. Fleming does a dirty dodgeball kind of event. So there's different levels of like intenseness or like physical activity, how lively it is. But all of the events from last year are on the website, so you can take a little look at them.
Thank you.
I know there was also a question about shipping items to Caltech during the summer or during rotation. We may need to get some specific details from mail services, but I know that they typically ask for people to not send anything to campus more than 2 weeks before you're going to get here so that they're not holding on to packages for more than 2 weeks. But I know that once you get here, you will get your mail stop code. But I do believe
actually, I will
that
add to that, Joe. So this
please.
year, it is a new process with mail services. So I have all of your mail codes already. So what I will do is I will filter it based on your arrival date. So if you are arriving on campus early for any of the programs, for example, Joe had mentioned in the beginning for example, the integrated core, if you're an international student, whatnot. So I'll work with the different offices on those dates. And then a couple of days before that kind of 2 week mark of your physical arrival, I will send you your mail code. I'll email that over to you. And then you can begin sending mail out. So just as a reference, and I'm going to link the handbook in the chat here. On page 31 of the handbook, it does go through more detail about how the campus shipping works. So for example, it has a chart. If your arrival on campus is, let's say, Sunday, August 3rd, which is the first day of FSRI, you can send packages starting Sunday, July 20th. So feel free to pull up a calendar, feel free to kind of backtrack what that 2 week time frame is. And then you can start mailing your packages in. And then also on page 31, it tells you exactly what the address format is in terms of how you should address any packages or any mail. And then, yeah, hopefully that makes sense. If there are any specific questions, say about your personal physical arrival date, any confusion there, send me an email. Happy to work with you on that. But for the most part, like Joe said, our mail services is a small office on campus, and so we cannot accept packages too early on because we also have current students who also have packages in. So, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Isabel. And then our next question, can I arrive at Caltech at 5 p.m. on check-in day, international student?
So
Yeah.
for check-in, we ask that people check in during business hours so that we have staff here to welcome you, as well as if there are any maintenance issues if you get to your room. And the sink has sprung a leak since we last were in there, so that we have somebody to be able to fix those things for you. If for some reason you have extenuating circumstances, I do know that for some international students, arriving to the West Coast during business hours can be difficult. What I'd ask is that you reach out to ughousing at caltech.edu and let us know what your situation is so that we can begin to plan for that now. Because again, we need to make sure that there's going to be somebody here to meet with you when you arrive on campus so that you can then get into the buildings.
Yeah, also I would recommend checking in with the International Student Program Office. The specific question in the chat speaks about an international student arrival. And so I begin happens the day following the International Student Check-in Day. So check-in day is Wednesday, September 17th for international students. I begin officially begins Thursday, September 18th, and we just want to make sure that you're able to get settled in, check in, and then also make it in time for orientation the next day.
Perfect. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Isabel. The next question, if a student has requested CAS accommodations for housing, does the survey at the end of rotation sync automatically? The answer is no. You still need to fill it out. And please fill it out according to what accommodations you might have. We do on our back end check to make sure that it's synced and it matches. But depending on your accommodation, you're not guaranteed a house specifically. You're guaranteed like a room type or whatever it might be. I think each scenario is very different. So everyone still needs to fill out the rotation survey at the end because you are ranking the different houses, including Bechtel. So hopefully that makes sense.
To kind of elaborate though, if you, have a CAS accommodation for a single room, we will make sure that you end up in a building with single rooms. You will not be placed into Avery or a North House because as a first year, you would be assigned to a double in those spaces.
Correct, yes. Because North Houses, there's no singles. Yeah. Avery, they're all doubles or triples.
For the first years. Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? Feel free to write it in the chat or whatnot. You'll also find all our information online. If you just Google us, or I don't know if Isabel will send a follow-up, whatnot. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. You'll continue to hear from us either from letters or the communication Isabel sends. So, we'll stay in close contact and we'll definitely see you when you check in. We are all very involved in the residential programs, and we're on the ground a lot in the houses, working with you and whatnot. So we'll definitely have some face-to-face time once you're here.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Joe, Vanessa, Elisa. If there are any more specific questions you didn't get a response to or want to maybe stay behind more for a more one-on-one time, they will be on the call for another few minutes, so feel free to stay. If not, this does conclude today's info session. Our next session is this coming Monday, July 14th at 1 to 2 p.m. And the next session will be with our financial aid and bursars office. So we hope to see you there. Thank you again for joining us. As always, the Grubhub credits for the first 5 participants will be emailed out later today. Yeah, thank you so much. See you next time. Bye-bye.